I do want to provide some updates on some investigations, like the chairman said. One of the main things we've been getting asked about, and this is in current litigation, is the Trump campaign has thrown out a bunch of numbers of illegal votes. First of all, uh, there are always illegal votes in elections. There is no such thing as a perfect election. By an illegal vote, I mean someone who is not an eligible voter who is allowed to cast a ballot. The law, our laws, and every federal law, every state's law, basically, errs on the side of allowing an ineligible person to vote rather than not allowing someone to vote at all if they might be eligible. So the Trump campaign has thrown out numbers that 2,056 felons voted illegally. That's not true. We have we are investigating a total of 74 potential felons who cast a ballot. And what our investigators do is we have to talk to each one of them and actually investigate to see, okay, was that person still under felony sentence? Sometimes they're not. So we're investigating those. The total universe, though, is 74. They've also alleged that 66,000 underage people voted. Investigated that. The total number of underage people who voted is 0. We're able to look at everyone who voted and look at their birth date in the voter registration system. And I think there was 4 people who requested a ballot before they turned 18, and they all turned 18 prior to November 3rd, which means they're allowed to vote. Trump campaign has said 23 people voted that weren't registered to vote. Again, the number on that is 0 because we can see everyone who voted in our voter registration system. We're also investigating the allegation that 300, well, let me say this one first. 10,000 people voted who died before the election. Again, that's not true. We're investigating some reports of dead voters. I think a couple of them that were submitted in litigation. Turns out they were not true. One of the ladies, she'd been registered, I think, since like 1950 something, and in the registration system, she was listed as Mrs. whatever her husband's name is. I don't think we see that much anymore, but there was something that we saw then. We had talked to her. She was and talked to her daughter. She's not dead. Her birth date matches, her gender matches, her voting history matches. So, that was not. And I think we have found a couple instances of dead people voting. Generally, what that goes to is if someone who's died recently and a family member votes for them, and that handful of instances is consistent with what we see in every election. Again, it's not okay, and those people will go to the state election board, and we will seek punishment for them to the fullest extent of the law. But it's nothing that we are seeing that would put in doubt the result of the election, even in a very close election like we've had right now. We're investigating 395 people who cast ballots in 2 states, which is illegal. This is an investigation that we get basically after every election. Our current elections director, who used to be our chief investigator, said that after the 2008 election, we received an allegation that 30,000 people voted in both Georgia and Florida or Georgia and Ohio. And he investigated every single one of those. It can be tedious because we get information from both states. We have to kind of push them to get us the information in a timely fashion. At the end of that investigation, there was 3 people who had voted in Georgia and another state.
So, Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that number, the initial number of investigations you have for people who are being investigated for voting in multiple states? I missed it. I'm sorry.
The allegation that we have got for this election was 395 people from
Thank,
the old one I was talking about. There was an investigation after the 2008 election of 30,000 people that was
thank you.
elected. Yes, sir. Um, Now, it's also been alleged that 15,000 people who are no longer uh, Georgia residents voted. Again, what we are seeing is that's not true either. Um, and you know, we have submitted documents in court showing why the um, the numbers that the Trump campaign has submitted are not accurate. And you know, it's for a lot of reasons. A lot of them are sometimes just not the same person who matched. So you know, that's part of it. And then, but you know, we're running our own numbers on those too to really help prioritize those investigations and see what might the actual number be. Um, so that's what we're investigating right now. But we are seeing from our initial investigation, it's nowhere close to what the Trump campaign is saying, and it's going to be nowhere close to anything that would put the investigation or the result in question. Um, those are tedious investigations. It requires basically, you know, figuring out the residency of each person, and residency can be complicated. There's people who no longer live in Georgia who are eligible voters. Of course, it's going to include overseas military people. It also includes college students. It also includes people who are maybe somewhere temporarily for a job or caring for a family member. And it also includes people who might you know, have more than one home, basically. So that's what we're looking at, and we'll continue to do that. Now, even a small number of illegal votes from our perspective is not okay. And so we will go after each of those. Unfortunately, and this I think gets to another question, it is a fairly tedious process to, you know, really wrap a bow around all of those and get them ready for submission to the state election board and for you know, potential prosecution if that's the direction the state election board chooses to go.